What's happening, Hardscapers? This is episode 284 of the How to Hardscape podcast, where we talk about how you can start and grow your hardscaping business. And on today's episode, I'm going to walk you through my entire SEO, search engine optimization strategy for my websites that I create, and just step by step everything that you need to do. I'm going to actually be creating a website tutorial on how to create a WordPress website step by step, how to make it optimized for search engine results so that you're showing up organically near the top of Google results for your service areas. This is all going to be available in our headquarters software. So if you haven't heard about the headquarters software, we have a budgeting, estimating, job costing, time tracking, scheduling, and so much more employee management tool in this software. But along with that, we also have courses, and our courses are installation based. There's also some business courses with budgeting, estimating, and knowing your numbers, where Cycle CPA comes in and does a breakdown of a balance sheet and an income statement. And we're going to continuously add to this course content area, starting off with this SEO and website creator. So if you want to learn more about that, you can send me a message at How to Hardscape or go to hthheadquarters.com to learn more about all of the features that we have available there. And before we get into today's episode, we want to thank our sponsors, Cycle CPA. And if you're looking for bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services, reach out to Cycle CPA at cyclecpa.com. Let them know How to Hardscape sent you for money off their services there. Knowledge Tree Consulting, if you are looking for somebody to help you in your business, I would highly recommend Knowledge Tree Consulting. They are efficiency consultants in our industry, and you've heard them on the podcast multiple times before. George and Peter of Oriole Landscaping, and George a couple of other times talking about various topics, and we'll definitely have George on in the future to talk more. But you can learn more about them at knowledgetreeconsulting.com. And without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Today, I'm going to be walking you through my entire search engine optimization or SEO strategy. I've created several websites in the past. I've created the How to Hardscape website that ranks on top of search engine results for certain hardscape terms. I've used that to then create the Ever After Landscaping website, which is also doing well. Search engine optimization is a long-term strategy, so it's not something that you want to put it into practice this off-season and want to see results for this coming year. It's something that requires some work and some time on top of that to be able to get to those top of search engine results. Now, there's certain strategies that'll help you get there sooner rather than later, and we'll talk about all of that in today's episode. But first, I wanted to start with why you might want to work on your search engine optimization of your website. Ultimately, I really feel like the website is the number one thing to double down on. At the end of the day, wherever you're creating content on social media platforms, you don't own that content. You can get shut down at any point in time. I know one person who solely relied on their Instagram page, did not have a website, talked about how Instagram came with all their leads, and that's how they got business in their actual landscaping business, and that's what they relied on. Fast forward a few months later, they got hacked and they couldn't get their Instagram page back, and Instagram wouldn't help them. I've had trouble with this in the past too, with Facebook ads, running Facebook ads on my Ever After Landscaping Facebook page. Facebook does not help you out when you reach out to them. It's even really difficult to actually reach out to them in the first place. But I assume that I had somebody report one of my ads on Facebook, and they reported it as using content that does not belong to me, which all my content is from my YouTube videos, so it all belongs to me. And with that, my Facebook ads got shut down. So I couldn't run Facebook ads anymore on Ever After Landscaping. And I reached out to Facebook. They don't tell you which post it was, and so you can't even defend yourself. And when I reached out to them, I asked them, they reviewed it, and they came back with, no, it's going to stand. You cannot use Facebook ads anymore on this account. So then I reached out to them many more times over a period of 1.5 years. And eventually it came down to, this is our final decision. You won't be able to contact us anymore. So not only was I not able to use Facebook ads anymore, my Facebook page ultimately becomes fairly useless, besides the organic posts that with business pages do not get much traction anyways. But those are just a couple of stories where at the end of the day, if you're focusing on one channel to help you out in your business to get leads, it may backfire on you in the future if one of those channels, especially if you just double down on one, was to go away instantly and you could never get it back. But when it comes to a website, you own that website. It's your website and you can always have that website. The same thing goes for something like an email list. You're always going to own an email list. These are things that belong to you, which is why I think it's the most valuable real estate that you can have digitally to get leads into your business. Not to mention search engine optimization. Once you get ranking and you start to get leads, those are unpaid leads. It takes a little bit of effort to be able to get to the top of search engine results and a little bit of time as well. And I'm not saying this is easy by any means, but these are leads that you're not paying for, and they are qualified leads because they have come through your website for a certain search term, and they have maybe read up on your company, really like the landing page for that specific search term, and now want to do business with you. As opposed to paying for Facebook ads, Instagram ads, getting leads that way. And there's going to be a percentage of those people that are reaching out that are not qualified in the first place. So this is why I think search engine optimization is something that every business should be doing if you're in business and you plan to be in business for the long term. It's not the only thing that you should be working on. I do believe in other social media accounts. Digitally, I'm speaking to get leads and being able to do that. That's why I started the YouTube channel for me personally, and that has helped my business as well. But at the end of the day, search engine is a way to get qualified leads that are free, and it's always going to belong to you. Now, there are drawbacks to optimizing for search engines. For example, there's always algorithm updates with Google and other search engines that is going to maybe negatively affect your pages in the long run. But there's always good practices that you can put into place with search engine optimization to withstand the algorithm changes that come down the pipeline. A lot of these algorithm changes happen because they're trying to serve up the best results possible for people using the search engine. Because if somebody's searching and they're not getting good results, it negatively affects the brand image of that search engine, whether it's Google or whatever it might be, Bing. They want to tweak their algorithms to give the best results possible for those searching on them. And in doing so, they target certain hacks or certain things that you can do with optimizing your pages for these search engines that may help people rank higher for a certain period of time. Just as a very simple example, back in the early days, people would keyword stuff their pages. So if they wanted to rank high for landscape contractor as a keyword term that somebody might put into Google, they would on that page just type landscape contractor multiple times, and that would be keyword stuffing. So eventually Google caught on to this, and their next algorithm update actually addressed this, and those that were doing it were penalized. So it was much more difficult for those companies or those businesses or those landing pages to actually re-rank in Google for that. So at the end of the day, the best thing that you can do is just create good quality content. And that is written form when it comes to search engine results. And that is what you want to do, as opposed to trying to keyword stuff or try to do certain hacks that you might hear around that helps people rank. And that is going to be the best long-term strategy for search engine optimization. I've been asked about writing AI content and how is that going to affect websites. Google already has algorithms in place that hurts those websites that are using AI to write content. So that's already in place. So if you are deciding whether or not to use, say, a ChatGPT to write content on your website, I would highly recommend that you do not. And if you do, then you should edit it quite a bit to be able to make sure that you get past those filters and that your content doesn't get flagged for being created by AI, because it will hurt your ranking. Ultimately, like I said, it comes down to quality content. So quality content takes time, and it's going to cost you a little bit more time to actually write it out yourself. But anything easy is eventually, if it already hasn't been, going to be docked when it comes to search engine results. Another thing to note with your website is that the age of the website also plays into factor with how well it'll rank. Obviously, the older the website, the better. And that's important to note because if you don't have a website already, it's time to start one, at least to have that page age starting to accumulate for you. Showing Google that your website is being updated frequently, and this is where writing blogs or articles also comes into play, will also help your website with that. We're going to get into talking about on page, what you can do to rank high for certain key terms, but there's also some things that you can do off your website to help get ranked higher. The first thing that you can do is create a Google business profile, and that is going to be your Google My Business essentially, and getting reviews and optimizing that as best as you can for service areas or for a specific location, and adding posts weekly. They do disappear, I believe, weekly still. And the number one thing here is getting reviews for that. So the more 5-star reviews that you can get, the better. Reach out to your contact list, reach out to your clients, and do this regularly as opposed to all at once at one time. You don't want a rush of reviews coming in. You want to do this throughout the year consistently so that it doesn't look like you're trying to gamify the Google system. They don't want to see a bunch of reviews all of a sudden coming in at once. You get 20 reviews, but for the rest of the year, you don't get any. So it's always best to do this regularly as opposed to all at one time. It also helps to respond to those reviews as well. That's the biggest thing. The next thing is getting backlinks. Backlinks show Google and other search engines that you have some sort of authority built up in the space. And these are quality backlinks. These aren't easy backlinks to get. It's not like a link that you add to your Instagram page or your Facebook page and so on and so forth. These are quality links where maybe you reach out to local news accounts and news pages that do articles online, and you pitch them an idea of this is what you need to do in the spring to maintain your paver patio, and pitch them the idea and see if they'll have you come on for an interview or even be able to publish an article that you wrote for them. In doing so, they usually give some sort of backlink for this. And you can do that. You can talk about this before you actually go through the effort of joining them for an interview or actually going ahead and having a post published. Ask them for, is this going to include a backlink? Now, backlinks mostly have two different attributes: follow and no follow. Follow is the higher grade backlink where you're getting a quality backlink there essentially. No follow are those easy backlinks that come from, say, your Instagram page or your Facebook page. Those easy to accumulate ones, whether you have some sort of account with a third party that may contact you trying to give you leads. You can do that as well, but these are easy to get no follow links. So you want those follow links, and those are the higher quality ones that are going to require a little bit more effort. But with more and more people linking to your web page and specific web pages as well, this is going to give you more authority in the eyes of these search engines and help you to actually rank higher within them. We want to take a break from today's episode to thank our sponsor, Cycle CPA. It's crucial to review your financial statements on a monthly basis so you can diagnose areas for improving your business's financial health early before they become significant issues. Too many contractors wait until the end of the year to review their financials as they file taxes, when it's often too late to take action to change the outcome. Cycle CPA not only handles bookkeeping and taxes, but they also ensure that you're armed with financial data on a monthly basis to make key business decisions. They offer benchmarking, cash flow forecasting, and assistance in developing targets for financial metrics. With their team of accountants specialized in the hardscape and landscape industry, they currently work with hundreds of companies in this field. Visit cyclecpa.com, and for $200 off, mention the How to Hardscape podcast. Now back to our episode. Then when it comes to actually building the web page and creating a strategy to help you rank for specific keyword terms, I like to use WordPress. WordPress is a great website open source builder. So it's available to everybody and it doesn't cost anything. You do have to sign up for hosting. So you actually host your own webpage. And I highly recommend this rather than going through a third-party website builder, or it gives you much more control of your actual website and you own the content. If you go to some marketing agencies, some of them actually will build you a website, but ultimately they own the website. And if you decide to not pay them or want to move, you then have to start from scratch in building your own website. So that's something to always look at with these marketing agencies and whether or not they may be a good fit for what you want for a solution. And like I said, I like WordPress. It's out of the box, really good for search engine optimization as opposed to a Squarespace or Weebly and so on and so forth there. And WordPress has become easier and easier to use. It really is click and drag these days with certain builders. So there's themes that you choose, and the theme is just what the website's going to look like, and to the front end user when they actually visit your website. And so I use what's called Astra, Astra. It's a theme that you download and install, and then you can choose a whole bunch of different appearances of your website as a template. So if you choose one, there's one good one for landscaping. If you choose it, it builds you out the entire website. All you have to do is go in and click on the text and the images and change them to what you want it to look like. You can still do a lot of customization with it as well and add different containers, which include different photos and different image carousels and a whole bunch of different things. You can go well beyond what that template actually gives you, but starting out, it gives you a lot to work with, and it's just click, edit the text, and change the images. Typically, these are going to give you pages like home, about, services, and maybe a contact page to go off of. And then it's up to you to, I don't use any of those pages for ranking in search engines. I use different pages to be able to rank in search engines. I just use those as high level. This is what somebody might find if they go to the homepage, and a good about page that talks about us and the business and why they should hire us as a contractor for their project. And the services are a great starting point to list out all the different services that you offer, but it's on this page and these pages, the services pages, that I am trying to rank for specific keywords. So for example, if you go to my webpage, everafterlandscaping.com, you'll find hardscape services and a list of different hardscape services that we offer. And each of those pages are optimized to rank high in Google based on what I put into those pages. And just to give you an example, I have more difficult to rank terms such as interlock contractor, interlocking pavement contractor, or interlock installation contractor. There's a bunch of different ways that you can phrase that to rank for those specific keywords. I use a tool called KeySearch. KeySearch is a search engine optimization tool that helps you research specific keywords and see which ones are easier and more difficult to rank for, as well as traffic that comes from those. So just like I was listing there, interlock pavement contractor, interlock installer contractor, there's a bunch of different ways to phrase that, where in your area, people might not refer to it as that. They might refer to it as a paver contractor or so on and so forth there, but that might be connotated with asphalt paving. But there's different ways that you can phrase the same thing over and over again. You want to find the keyword term that is going to actually be most beneficial for you to try to rank for. And that's what your title is going to be called. And that would be, in a page, there's 6 different headings. There's the H1 heading all the way to H6. And that H1 heading is your title. And that's what you want your number one keyword term to be included in. And a keyword term can include multiple keywords all in one. So it can be, for example, interlock pavement installer or interlock paver installer, however you want to phrase that. But you can, in that sense, rank for interlock. You can rank for interlock paver, and you can rank for interlock paver installer. It's not the best example, but that is one way to include multiple keyword terms into one phrase as your title and rank for each of those. So what I do when I'm creating and when I'm thinking about creating a page, say interlock, as a service that I would offer, I go to key search and I type in what I am first thinking about when one of my potential clients could be typing into Google to try to find a installer or a contractor in their area. And I type that in, and maybe I go with contractor, maybe I go with installer based on those results. But then it'll give me a bunch of different suggestions. And then I just open up an Excel file and I type out all of the ones that seem to have high volume coming in, as well as the difficulty to actually rank for each of those. So some will be easier to rank for and some will be more difficult to rank for. You can also see the top 10 results there as well. And you can go into each of those top 10s. Usually those are companies in your area that offer the same services, and you can see what they're doing on that page to be able to rank so high, as well as check out their Google reviews. How many Google reviews do they have? But ultimately, with that research and going into each of these different websites and seeing what their content looks like, you can then create a plan as to how you're going to actually beat them in their search engine optimization on that page. If they wrote a simple article that's about 200 words, you can quite easily create a 1,000 word page and be able to outrank them in the longer term for that specific term. Additionally, if they don't have that keyword term that you're going to create the page for in their title and in their URL, which is yourcompany.com/ in that end URL there, then that's going to actually help you as well. Because if they don't have it in their title and in their URL, that's also going to be valuable to help you rank higher than them. Additionally, what else can you include in there that they don't have? Pictures and video, and that's going to be more and more valuable. So if you don't have video, I highly recommend that you start to put together some video to be able to be included on that page. And in photos as well, obviously. So when I'm creating a web page and you're trying to think, well, how am I going to write 1,000 words? That's quite a bit on one specific topic. Well, what I do is I go through, if I'm creating an interlocking concrete page, I create a quick intro that describes the service and a picture of one of the projects that we put together. I put together benefits of that. I put together a cross section and discuss the cross section of how we install our paver projects. And I also show how we differ from other companies. And then I also include a step-by-step write-up of each of those steps in how we actually install it. And with that, it's quite easy to be able to put together a 1,000 word page plus for some specific search term. You can even go further with that and go concrete versus pavers, why pavers may be superior to concrete in their project. Going back to our Excel file, I've highlighted one term that I'm going to create as the title and the H1 tag, the header tag. And then I might have 2 or 3 very similar terms, which I'm now going to include in the H2, H3, H4 headers. And to give an example of that, I could say steps to install interlocking concrete pavement as my H2 header. And then each of the steps could be an H3 header. And those could be optimizing for specific search terms that people might be looking for when they're looking for a paver contractor. Because those H headings, those headers, are going to be the most valuable to be able to rank for. The least valuable would be including it in your body text, in the actual text that you're writing out underneath each of those headers. Still good to include it in there, but once again, coming back to keyword stuffing, you do not want to get carried away with this, and you do not want to keyword stuff and try to find ways to mix it in there. Ultimately, keep it to the headings and maybe add 1 or 2 within the article. Once again, coming back to the keywords that you want to actually rank for this page. But you might come across some keyword terms that you have, say, 5 or 6 that you want to be able to include on your web page, but you can only fit 2 or 3 of those in your actual page for interlock concrete pavement services, an installer or contractor, whatever you go with. So what I do in that case is I create blog posts. And I use those terms in those blog posts. Think of the blog post as just an article. And then I create blog posts for specific projects that we've completed, and that is my blog post or my article. I create an article around a project that we've completed, and then I use those 4, 5, and 6 terms that I wasn't able to include in my initial service page, and I included in that article. That way, I'm not creating multiple pages for Interlock Concrete Installer. I'm not creating one page that's optimized for Interlock Concrete Installer and then another page for Interlock Concrete Contractor. And so I can create an article that optimizes for that contractor portion of it. And it's not getting repetitive on the website. Instead, I have a article or a blog post that's going to target that specific keyword term. Now, no doubt there's going to be a lot of different services that you offer that you can break down into different actual pages on your website. Because if you're just let's say you're just an Interlock Concrete installer. Well, you can also get into retaining walls, obviously, and you're likely already building retaining walls, feature walls. You can get into water features and specific pages for water features if you do ponds and spillways and so on and so forth, fire features, porcelain, repair work, repairing concrete steps. I've talked about this in past marketing episodes where we focused on addressing pain points of clients that were very obvious that they needed to repair. And one of those was actual front steps falling apart. And that's a very easy ad to create because you're addressing a specific pain point that needs to be resolved for your client. It's not something that is just a luxury. It has to be repaired or fixed or replaced. And you can create a landing page for this to try to rank for, even though you already have a, say, step installation contractor page for steps, you can then create a step repair page for the same thing. And if you do paver repair, maintenance, and so on and so forth, you can create different service pages for each of these. So there's no doubt a bunch of different services that you can create pages for on your website. The thing is, I don't like to overcrowd my website if somebody goes to the menu and checks out the services to have all of these different services listed out when they hover over a specific service. What I like to do is I like to hyperlink within pages to these different services. So in my Interlock Concrete paver installer page, I might hyperlink within there to my repair paver page. And that way I'm not overcrowding my menu, because you can get to some people's menus and hover over services, and then they've got 30 different services when you can really condense that down to like 5. And if you have 30 in there, you may not even be able to see all 30 because it just goes off the web page. And you also want to optimize for mobile as well, because that's even more important as so much traffic is coming from mobile these days. And you want to make sure your website is optimized and responsive to mobile. Another reason why I like WordPress is these themes are optimized for mobile out of the box. Hyperlinking between pages is also good for your SEO, because when Google crawls your website, so they visit it, they have a bot that visits it, they want that bot to be able to click into all these different articles, as opposed to you might have an article that's paver repair and you don't have any way for that bot to get to it. So that bot never finds that page. So it's good practice to be able to hyperlink to all these different pages and services that you may not have in your menu. To give another example of that is with say we create a page for a patio contractor, because we install many different things. We install natural stone, we install porcelain, we install pavers. In that page, you can list out all the different materials that you use, and each of those can be hyperlinked to a specific page. And we have a specific porcelain page, a specific natural stone page. And each of these are optimized for somebody looking for a porcelain patio installer or contractor, a natural stone installer or contractor. Once again, going through, I like to use Key Search. It's affordable and it's easy to use to be able to see what is the number one term that I want to rank for, and maybe 2 or 3 other terms to be able to include somewhere in those other headings in each of those pages. We also write a service area page for every service area that we have. So this could be regional based, this could be city based. Wherever you service, you should have a service page for that specific area. And then in our footer, we include every single one of those cities, areas, whatever it might be in that. So whatever you think your client might be searching for in a specific region, area, or city, you should have a service page for that area.
We want to take a break from today's episode to thank our sponsor, Knowledge Tree Consulting. They are efficiency consultants in the industry with 35 plus years of industry experience building Oriole landscaping in Toronto, which they are completely hands off at this point. George and Peter have been on the podcast before, and George, on multiple occasions now, I've personally leaned on him to help with the How to Hardscape headquarters software and how we can maximize the efficiency of user experience. And I know the guys at DTE Landscaping, Chuck and Jeffrey, who we've also had on the show multiple times, have hired them on in the past. Check out their consulting services, peer groups, and events that are coming up on their website, knowledgetreeconsulting.com, or check them out on Instagram at joinktc. Now back to our episode.
Then we get into something like page speed. Page speed's a little bit more difficult and a little bit more technical, but you can always hire somebody to optimize your page speed. But if you want to try to tackle that, you can go to Page Speed Insights on Google. It's a Google tool, and you can type in your URL to your homepage, and Google will tell you and analyze your web page to let you know what speed your website is showing up at, and things that you can do to fix that page speed to get it loading a lot faster. It'll give you a score for both web and mobile as well, so you can see how you can optimize your website in each of those. Page speed is very, very important as well, and it's something that needs to be addressed if you are getting a lot of warnings when it comes to down to Page Speed Insights, your metrics for that. At the end of the day, it comes down to what's best for a user coming to your website. Good content and very quick to load, because if it's taking a long time to load, say 5 seconds, people are already out of there hitting the back button or refresh and then closing it, and Google does not want that. That's why Google prioritizes page speed quite a bit, is because it's not a good user experience if that page does not load. And then another thing that I do is I sign up for Google Search Performance. This is another Google tool that they will tell you how your specific search terms and web pages are doing, and where are you ranking in terms of position, and how each of these search terms that you're targeting are doing. So for example, if I go to that tool and I type in the queries, paver installer, paver contractor, whatever that page was that I titled it, that I wanted to search to rank for, it'll tell me how many people are searching for that term and how many people actually clicked onto my website and where we ranked for that search term. Good thing about this is if I decided to try to rank for interlock paver installer, but more people are coming to my website, or not even coming to my website, but they're searching, and we are showing close in terms of the position on Google for contractor rather than installer, well, then that tells me, you know what, there's more people searching for this term, and I think I can rank as opposed to using installer. Maybe I should be using contractor, or I might be getting those two mixed up with what I initially said, but whatever one has more volume and I think I can actually rank for above the other, I might want to change the title of that page that I created. And in doing so, what you want to do is do a redirect to that new page. So you can do this through your website host. You just go in and you go to the redirects and you just create a redirect from that old URL. Maybe it was installer before, so paver, interlock concrete paver installer, and you want to change it to interlock concrete paver contractor, you just do a redirect to the new URL, and you make sure to change the title as well as the URL, because you want your keyword term in the title and in the URL. I use this tool quite a bit, and I do a little bit of renaming. You don't want to get into this too much. You don't want to, ideally you have one redirect in a specific page. You don't want to say, do that change and then change it back, or do that change and then want to change it again to another term. So you do want a little bit of data that's coming into that Google Search Console, and to be able to make a definitive guess or estimate as to what term you actually want to change that to, and you don't want to try to change that back if at all possible, because ultimately you don't want to have somebody using that old URL and then it redirects you to the new URL, and then it then again redirects you to a newer URL that you've created. You want it just like at most one redirect. So if I go to my website right now, under services, I have a page just specifically for services, and that is just targeting landscaping services. Now it's going to be a very difficult one to rank for because it's very broad, and there's going to be a lot of different competition trying to rank for something as big and probably lots of volume for landscaping services. But under services, I have hardscaping and softscaping services. So do two different landing pages for that. Hardscaping, once again, a little bit more broad, less broad than landscaping. And softscaping, same thing, softscaping services. But these are two things that people are probably not using, especially as a client or somebody looking for those services into Google. So not only are they still very somewhat very broad, but they're also not terms that a typical client would use. But within those services, say hardscaping, I've got design, interlock, porcelain, walls, steps, features, and repair. And those are all of my main pages that I show, at least in my menu, when somebody clicks in on. If I go to design, I'm targeting landscape designer. If I go to interlock, I'm targeting interlock contractor. If I'm targeting porcelain, I'm targeting outdoor porcelain installer, because I don't want to do indoor porcelain, so I target outdoor porcelain installer. And these are all terms that I've come up with using key search and doing a deep dive into which term is the best thing for me to target. Within my porcelain page, I've got benefits of porcelain pavers as my H2, problems with porcelain pavers is my H2 for another one, a cross section of a porcelain project, how we install a porcelain project, and then I immediately have a contact form. Now I still have content underneath that contact form, but if somebody's seen a lot of what we've already put together there, they've gotten enough value out of it that we might be a contractor they want to do work for, I want to put a contact form there so that they can immediately fill that out, and they can still scroll down and now see steps that we do to install our porcelain projects. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and so on and so forth there. And then I have frequently asked questions. I do this with every single page. Frequently asked questions. How deep do you dig? How deep is a porcelain paver base? And so on and so forth there, with videos for each of those different things that they might be asking. And then finally, after those frequently asked questions, I have our service area map. Our service areas listed out, and then our actual contact form page at the very bottom once again. I also have a header, which is the menu tab that follows the user down as they scroll down. So it's sticky. It stays with the user as it scrolls down. So at any point, they can still click get a quote and take them directly to the contact form. The idea is to make it as easy as possible for that user to be able to contact you at any point during their scroll through your content. A couple more things that I can get into here with a website. I have two different contact forms that I use. I have a contact form on specific service pages that are it's the same on every service page. And then I have a contact form on my contact page. And those are different because I want to be able to measure what people did coming to my website, whether they found a service and contacted me right through that service page, or did they go to the contact form page and fill out the contact form there. The fields are very similar, and that just helps me to be able to measure what people are doing on my website. Are they going through the contact form on the service pages, so that I can measure what's working on my website? So for example, I once had the contact form at the very bottom of service pages, and I saw people always going to the contact page. When I changed it to include another contact form in the midway through a service page, I found more and more people going through a service page to be able to contact me. So it was a little adjustment that I made there, but I made it easier, and more people are contacting me through service pages now because of that. And that's all about just being more user friendly. Think about it as somebody coming to your page. Same thing with search engine results. Think about it as the user type. What are they going to type in to try to look for a service that you offer? And that's likely the keyword term that you want to target. Same thing with your website. How can you make it easier for that potential client to actually reach out to you? How can you make it less friction in the process for them to contact you? Now, if you have an overabundance of leads coming in, you might want to make your contact form have more fields that they had to go through, more hoops that they had to jump through, more friction in the process to be able to contact you, because you're not necessarily looking for a lot of leads. You're looking for very, very qualified leads that people are willing to go through those hoops and that friction in the process to contact you because they want you to do their project. I use my service pages as a qualifier for our clients that this is what we do, this is how we do it, and we draw it out step by step how their project is going to be done, so that they know that if they come to our website, they see the service, they see exactly how we install the project for them, that, hey, this guy seems, or this company seems to know what he's doing, and this is the guy that we want to do the project. Same thing with my YouTube channel, same thing with my website. And I embed my YouTube page, my YouTube videos in the website. That's why I created the YouTube channel, was so that I could show very visually to my potential clients that we are the company that they want to go with. On the About Us page, I include our value proposition to our clients. For me, I'm an owner operator in the field. They deal with me throughout the entire process. That's my value proposition to that client. That small company, you deal with me through the design, through the sales, and through the entire build and right to the end. As opposed to a larger company that might have a salesperson, hand it off to a designer, hand it off to a foreman, project manager, and then they're dealing with a whole bunch of different people. My unique selling proposition, my value proposition, not necessarily unique, but at least for owner operators still in the field, you want to communicate that. And I have a video just specifically talking about that on the About Us page. I have my face on the About Us page, very important, so that they know who they're dealing with, and a bunch of projects that we've completed in the past. Now, you might be saying, I don't need more leads right now. I have more than enough leads, so search engine optimization might not be the way I want to go, but I urge you, because throughout 2020, 2021, 2022, I talked about this a lot, and then when we had a slower year, perhaps this past year for some people, they reached out to me asking me, like, what am I doing to get leads? I focused on my website. I focused on YouTube for me. And that's what helped me to continuously bring in leads without spending money. So I urge you to think of the future of your business, and inevitably there will be a slow period. It may not be this year. Most people may not be thinking it's this year, but inevitably there will be a slow period, and search engine optimization takes a long time to kick in. So you want to plan in advance for that. Take your time to be able to optimize your website so that when that slow period does come, hey, you have now hopefully leads coming in organically without having to spend money. It gives you a little bit of an edge against other companies within your area. Not to mention, you can target specific services. Those are qualified leads that are coming in if they're searching for a specific service in Google and a contractor to install it. And if you do a good job with your content on your landing page, you're describing how your project's done, and you're showing them that you are the contractor that you should do the job for them, that there's no other company that they would want to go with. And in that sense, it's a qualified lead coming in, and that is the best type of lead to get besides word of mouth. Once again, going back to the beginning of the episode, this is yours. It belongs to you. Nobody can shut this down on you. So I think about it as diversification. Yes, I do YouTube, and I dabble in Instagram and so on and so forth in these other channels, but I really think about it as diversification, bringing in as many qualified leads as possible, and to be able to maybe even create a network, a local network that you can actually sub or hand off projects that you can't take on to other contractors in your area, but at least you're creating a foundation for your business in the future with a good quality website. I hope this episode's helped you in some way. If it has, sharing this episode with somebody that you think might benefit from it would be very much appreciated. I wanted to make this for the off season, for the winter season, for those that have it, that may have a little bit of time on their hands, that may want to start to work on their websites. But if you want the course, you can send me a message at How to Hardscape, or go to hthheadquarters.com to learn more about our software and the courses that we have inside of that. That's a budgeting, estimating, job costing, time tracking, scheduling, employee management, lots of different features within that software there, along with our courses that you can also assign to your employees to help onboard and train them. If you want to learn more about that, hthheadquarters.com, or send me a message at How to Hardscape on Instagram. And we want to say thank you to our sponsors.
Cycle CPA. If you're looking for bookkeeping, accounting, CFO services, reach out to Cycle CPA at cyclecpa.com. Let them know How to Hardscape sent you for money off their services there. And Knowledge Tree Consulting, if you're looking for efficiency consultants who have a lot of experience in our industry, check out Knowledge Tree Consulting at knowledgetreeconsulting.com.
And we look forward to meeting with you next week on the How to Hardscape podcast.